Hello everybody, hope you're doing good. This is our next project, which is to design the logo for our football helmets. So our football coach has asked the advanced class to design the logo for the football helmet. They have some ideas, but they said that they wanted something from us that would be more exciting and more cool. So let me show you something really quick here. We have an example of their helmet here that they are kind of wanting us to think about. This is the Oregon Ducks helmet. You'll notice that the logo takes up a lot of space on the helmet. And one of the reasons why the coach wants this to be big is because he wants to make sure that the logo is visible when the straps are on. So you'll notice that the straps are on here in the helmet. So we want to think about that. We want to make a logo that looks cool enough when the straps are on the helmet. The other thing that we want to do is we want to think about the current idea that we have for the helmet, which is using our Glendale logo like this. But the coach said that he wanted us to experiment with this. So he wants you to take this idea and run with it, which means you've got a lot of freedom. You can start with the Glendale logo, but what he'd like to see is the exploding dynamite. So I'm going to give you these files of the Glendale logo, and I'm going to give you a template for the football helmet. But I really want you to experiment and come up with something new. Maybe it'll be just a big exploding dynamite. Maybe it'll be the dynamite and the G, slightly different. Maybe it'll be a big spark with a G in it. That is up to you. You get to design this in a way that you think is exciting. So this is your challenge. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. So first off, what I've done is I've given you two files. I'm going to be giving you the Glendale High School logo, which is vectorized, and I actually went through and turned this into an Illustrator file. So it is all chunked out into Illustrator. Now, you don't have to leave it like this. If you want to modify it, go for it. If you think you can draw it a little better, go for it. Just make sure that whatever you draw, that you draw in Illustrator, because we have to make sure that this logo is going to be created into a sticker, and we need it to be created in Illustrator because it'll be nice and sharp. So for example, this is the file that I've given you, right? If you want to tweak it out, go for it. Now you don't need to have the Glendale High School on there, so you could just go ahead and take that layer, for example, and delete it. And I'm going to save this with a different name so I don't ruin my file. I'll call this GHS Explosion Logo Vector Edit. Okay, so I'm just doing that on my end because I don't want to destroy this file. But for example, when you get this, you won't need that Glendale High School, so you'll open up the layers in Illustrator. You'll click on the Glendale and the high school, and you can delete that, okay? And this is what you have to play with. Now, you have a lot of leeway here. You can move this stuff around. You can make that spark bigger. So what you're going to want to do is isolate the layers you want to mess with. So let's say I just wanted to really play with the spark. Use the little dot, which is all the way to the right of the name. And you can hold down your command button to select multiple things together. And right now I'm just making an experiment. I'm just going to make this way bigger, right? And I'm not saying this is good, but I'm just saying experiment. Move things around so you can grab stuff and change it. Or maybe you just want to play around with the letter and you want to modify the way the G looks, right? Maybe you want to play with the G and the spark. You want to move things around. This is completely up to you what you want to do. Maybe you just want to take the dynamite and play around with that. So for example, maybe we move the G and we just create a kind of new idea with the explosion and the dynamite. Now I'm trusting that, you know, all of you I know can come up with some cool ideas. So this is just me giving you a rough idea of where you can start. Some of you might say, you know what, I hate this logo. I want to do a better job. Do it. Come up with a new idea. Again, he's not necessarily asking us to include the G as much as the spark and the dynamite. But again, feel free to use the G. Don't use the G. Use the dynamite. Do it, just you do it, but make sure you do it in Illustrator and make sure you do it nice and tidy. So I'm giving you this as a place to start with. And I'm also giving you this other Illustrator logo that we have, which also might be a good place for you to start. Maybe you need to make that spark bigger. Maybe you don't like the face here and you want to modify the face. Again, this is an Illustrator file, so you can go in here and you can start, deleting stuff that you don't like, right? You can move things, change them, cut them. So you have two steps in this. First step is to think about the logo. Think about how it's going to look on the helmet. You want to really take up a lot of space, so think about the best thing that will appear on a helmet, right? Then once you design it in Illustrator, you're going to place that into Photoshop. And the reason we're going to do that is because that's what we can show the coach as the mock-up of what we want to do. So for example, let's say I want to do something where I'm going to make that spark just really huge. Let's just say, again, this is just my experiment. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but I'm just experimenting. Okay? So we made a bigger spark. Okay? And I'll center this. Again, I think I could do better than this, but for now, it's not too bad. Maybe what I'll do is I'll move all the chunks that represent the dynamite. And so I'm selecting them, everybody, by using the little dot. It's always easier to do that than to try to do it any other way, really. And I'm going to group those. Okay. And I'll call this, or actually, you know what? I'm not going to group them just like that. Hold on one second. I'm going to move this up here. There we go. And you know what? I'll actually give you the file this way. That way it'll be easier for you to use because this is the bottom stick part. So what I could do is grab all these chunks now that I've got them selected, make this bigger, right? Let's just say, I'm really just experimenting here, everybody. Just going to move these chunks around. Make this bigger as well. Okay, something like that. And then grab the whole thing and center it. And I know you can do better than that. This is just an idea. Take the parts, move them around, make a new one, break it, make a new dynamite stick, whatever. But whatever you do, once you're in Illustrator, you'll save it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to end up copying this and pasting it into Photoshop. So now you're going to go over to Photoshop. I'm going to give you this file. This is the football template, okay? Let's take a look at this for a second. It's going to have two layers. The bottom helmet background, you're not going to want to touch that. Just leave it alone. You're going to find another layer above that's called logo and helmet color. Inside of this, when you open it up, you're going to find the three layers inside. Layers for color and a layer for the logo. So let's say you wanted to put this on a black helmet. And I'm going to give you the option of black or red. And I'd like you to design it for both. Once you decide the color, the next thing you do is you need to put your logo in there. The way you do this is you're going to double click where it says double click, place your logo here. You're going to double click inside there. It's going to have an empty layer. Now you're going to go back to Illustrator. You're going to grab what you made. And I know this is not very good. Sorry, everybody. But I'm just, again, it's up to you. Let's copy it by pressing Command Save or Command S. Copy it. Now you're going to go over to Photoshop and you're going to do Command V. And let's do that one more time. Should work between the two. Something's being weird. Command C. There we go. Command V. So Command C, everybody, and then Command V, and make sure you choose Smart Object. Don't do Add to My Current Library because it slows down Photoshop, and just press OK. And then the logo will pop in here. Okay? I'll do that again. I was in Illustrator. Select all the chunks that you want. Command C. Go over to Photoshop. Command V. And make sure you choose Smart Object. Now press OK. So now you can go ahead and make this bigger. When we're in Photoshop, we don't have to hold Shift anymore in the new version of Photoshop, which I know is kind of tricky. You can just drag the corners. Okay, you'll press Enter. You can turn off that layer that says Place Logo here, because you already did. And I created an empty layer by mistake, so I'm just going to delete that. And then now I'll press Command Save. Then I'll go back. Once I do Command Save on the Smart Object, I'll see it on the helmet. Now obviously, that's not really in the right place. It should be a little bit smaller and more towards the right corner. So I'm going to go back, Command T, shrink it over here, press Enter, Command Save, come back to it. And that's looking good. See, but now here is your challenge. This spark looks cool, but it's hard to read the letter G underneath the straps, right? And here, let's change the background to red and take a look at it, right? I think the spark looks interesting, but something about the helmet, there's a challenge. We have to think about all the stuff that's on the helmet. We have to think about the placement of everything. So really, we should probably be thinking about the spark being huge, like we saw with that example from the duck helmet. And we got to figure out, so the challenge is, where are we going to put the other elements, right? Which makes me think that I've got to go back to my Illustrator file and really think about this again from the helmet's perspective. Like, what is it that I want and where should I put it, right? And this is your challenge. So maybe instead of doing this one, you want to play around with this guy and make a big spark behind him. That could be cool. Let's try that. Let's go back to Photoshop. Let's double click our Smart Object. And let's say we don't want to use this one, so we'll turn the eyeball off. Let's go back to Illustrator. Let's grab this one, grab the whole thing, Command C. Let's go back to Photoshop, Command V, Smart Object, right? Press Enter, press Command Save. You always have to save your smart objects as you go, and then you take a look at where it is, right? Okay, this one kind of looks a little bit better on the helmet, but it's in the wrong place. So I'm going to move it up into the corner. Command Save again, and let's take a look at it, right? And we're getting there. I think this is something where we have to think about. What is going to look good with those straps? So that, everybody, is your challenge, okay? And if it's hard to work side by side like this, you can do the thing where you go to Window, Arrange, and you can go to 2 up vertical, and this is a way quicker way to work, because then as you move it over here, you'll see it automatically. So I know that this needs to probably move over to the right a little bit, Command Save, and it'll update automatically. So I did that by going to Window, Workspace, or excuse me, Window, Arrange, 2 up vertical, okay? So which one's better? You know, like, which is the better option? Is it better for us to play with this dynamite guy, or should we make a bigger explosion? You know, I'm pressing Command X as it's updating. I kind of like the explosion. I think also some of you might come up with a brand new idea, all right? The coach really just wants something that takes up a lot of space. Let's look back at that example. This is his inspiration. You want something like this. Something that takes up a lot of space. Something that won't be interrupted by the straps. So the straps are your design challenge. They're going to be there. We have to design around them. Okay, everybody? So I'm going to give you the elements, the Photoshop template, and I'm going to give you the Illustrator elements. You can start with these, but if you want to just design something brand new, go for it. And if you remember, we've already been doing some stuff for the school, so I have a lot of faith in your skills. I know that you can do it. And what's really awesome is if you design this, this is a great piece for your portfolio. You will have your work on everybody's helmet at every game, and that would be a great thing for you to show off. So let me know if you have any questions, but this is your next project. You are starting with something in Illustrator. Either one of these, you can modify them and tweak them however you like. You can make him have a smile. You could make this thing just have an explosion. You could get rid of the G. You could make the explosion bigger. You could draw a new dynamite stick. You could make a bigger G, whatever that is. Okay? Once you design it in Illustrator, you're going to copy paste it onto the helmet. And you're going to copy paste it onto the helmet by double clicking on the smart object layer. So that's your challenge. Have some fun with it. Let me know if you have any questions. And I hope you have a good time with this because it would be great to see your work on the helmets. And there is also the chance, everybody, that this logo will be used again, possibly maybe even on the basketball court, because there was also talk about using the logo in different places on campus. So again, great thing for your portfolio, good fun practice, and if you have some friends who play sports, maybe even ask them what they think would be cool. All right, everybody, have a good one and talk to you soon.